talking to God. Now, if God says, Sister Horton, that you are a righteous person, no one can counteract that. And I'm told that we are online right now, so welcome to those who are viewing via Facebook and YouTube. We are continuing to look at the Job saga and to connect it to family life. You know, many times we have our families and we have some good patches, we have a good stretch, but we must never take it for granted that, boy, things are just going to be hunky-dory and nice every time. All families go through some amount of tempestuous storms, and all families have some rough times and tribulations. Sometimes teeth and tongue meet in the marriages, right? Sometimes, literal fist fight go on in some families. It's just that some families might not talk. But it does happen. Sometimes we see some people and we think that, boy, man, then just live loving life. Man, they're the perfect couple. If you get a chance to live with them for 1 week, you don't see something else. But it's just that's what marriage and family is all about. We have our challenges. We are frustrated. We say some things that we don't mean. We do some things that we shouldn't do. But then we try to work it out. In Job's situation, it wasn't something that Job could just work out. Because it's not as if Job had an argument with his wife and children. And who said what, and Job pack up in things and move out, and he can move back in and say, honey, I'm sorry, and the children and everybody. No, Job's situation came as a result of Satan's challenge. Now, granted, God didn't need anything to be proved to him. And Job, nobody needed to prove anything to Job either, because Job was living an upright life. Satan himself, nobody had to prove anything to him, because he knew the truth, but he's the author of lies. So he has to paint everything as negative. And so God said, all right, I am going to give you the okay to touch Job's life. Because Satan said, Job is only being upright and faithful because you, God, have protected him and you have blessed him. So in other words, Satan was saying, if you don't bless him, he will not be faithful to you. And that's a question, or that's a suggestion that must pose a question to all of us today as believers. When we don't get what we want, will we still be faithful to God? Or if God removes some things from our lives, some of the fancy things, some of the things that we hold dearly, if we lose them, would we still be faithful to God? So you have to stop and think now, my son, my daughter, who was my prize, bright and full of promise. And I'm talking about people who would have lost a child, or that wife that lost a husband, or husband that lost a wife, or that family member that meant so much, the breadwinner, and died tragically or violently or even peacefully. The fact is they're no longer around. Can we truly keep our faith in God? Because that was the test for Job. That was the challenge of Satan. Satan says, if you remove the hedge of protection from around Job, if you take away all that he has, he will curse you. Now, God knew that it wasn't going to happen. So if it is not God that the point was being proved to, and it wasn't Job, it wasn't Satan, why did God allow it? And it brought us to the reality of the theme of the book of Job, which is not necessarily a theme of recovery. No. It is not a theme of going into the enemy's camp and, as we say, took back what the enemy stole. No. The theme of Job, CC, is one of suffering. The reality of suffering in light of God's justice, or the justice of God rather, in light of human suffering. What it means is that even in our darkest moments, our gravest moments, when we are down and out on our faces and we are feeling the licks, God is still sovereign. God's nature doesn't change because we are suffering. He's still God. Even if God doesn't deliver us, He's still God. Remember what the Hebrew boys said to the king: "O king, even if our God doesn't deliver us from the fiery furnace, we will not bow to your idol." No, that's the test of faith. Because for some people, if it's not happening the way that they wanted it to, they have a problem with God. You know, that's how you have some full-blown atheists. Some people who think that God doesn't love them anymore. So the best way for them to handle it is to say there is no God. Because God didn't save their son from death, or their loved one from that tragedy, or them from that tragedy. The best way for them to deal with it is to say there is no God. In Job's case, Job had everything taken away from him. God said to the Satan in the text, "You can touch his life, but you cannot kill him." Take away everything, but you cannot take his life. So all that Job boiled down to was what? His life. He didn't have his family anymore. Well, his wife was still around. Have you ever wondered why Satan didn't touch his wife? I don't know. It's okay to yeah, man, but remember now, she said that after, right? So it just jumped up at me a while ago. Oh, good night, Sister Sadler and Sister Williams. Welcome. Why didn't Satan touch Job's wife? Somebody saying because he had her already. Yes, Brother Kevin. We don't have a microphone. We're online, so we would need a microphone so that those online can hear. Brother Tyrone is still up there, right? I can get a microphone for the audience. Yes, because since we're online, you know, when you watch it later on, it would seem as if I had a Bible studies by myself, pretending that people were down there. So I'm asking a question and then answering it. That's how it looks. All right, so a microphone is coming because I want it to be registered. I want everyone to hear. Just give Brother Tyrone a minute here. And of course, this is just a sidebar, but I've never thought about it before, right? Job had a wife, he had 10 children, he had material possessions, he had personnel, he had a labor force, a workforce, servants, and even the servants were killed. But his wife didn't factor in the heavenly conversation. It's not like God said, you can touch his family, take away whatever, but don't touch his wife or don't take his life. But the Bible does say he had a wife, and the wife was there even afterwards. So we learned that at one point she was coaxing Job to curse God and die, right? And that doesn't mean that she was a wicked woman, because his friends and all of these people, the wife included, they were considered to be godly. They were looking at things in a particular way. So in their minds, it is the appropriate thing to do, because you must have done something wrong. So might as well you just finish up the thing and dead. That's how they were looking at it, because they couldn't see it from any other perspective. Because in their context, the only way that something like that, the tragedy that Job faced, could have happened to Job was because Job did something that was so sinful. All right, so we're getting a microphone. All right, so it's coming. So think about it, brother Kevin. You're going to respond. Just on the sidebar there, why we think nothing happened to Job's wife. Nothing is mentioned about her suffering or struggling like Job did. Job had painful sores and boils on his body, but the wife never catch anything. She was there. All right, the mic is coming. I know I heard the microphone a while ago. Zion, just bring the mic for me now. All right, it came on a while ago. We heard them. I guess it's off. All right, brother Kevin. You know what? Go ahead. If anything, I'll repeat what you're asking or suggesting. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is it on? Check if it's on. Unmute it. Go on. Yeah, go ahead now. Yeah, man, go again. Yes.
Yes. I believe why the devil did not attack the wife is because Job is the head of the family, and Job, the scripture said, Job feared God and shunned the very appearance of evil. So the devil don't want the weaker person, he wants the stronger person, because when you get the stronger person, when you bring down the stronger person, you get the whole family. So I believe why the enemy didn't take the wife. The wife is a weaker vessel, and the husband is the stronger one. So go after the stronger man, and you get the family.
No, but all that was taken from Job was. So, but I'm saying nothing is mentioned there about the wife, right? Fine, there would have been mourning, but what Job was going through, or what he lost, was to hurt him, not the wife. All right, but that still counts as some suggestion. Yes, Sister Cece. Yeah, say that on the
mic. Would have mad him, Rev. If something happened to your wife,
yes,
maybe that would have tipped him off.
Well, true that we're saying that probably that would have been that which caused his death. They take the children, boy, and then they take the wife.
But his life partner, Rev, that would have hurt him.
Yeah. Your husband wants to say how he would feel if you were no longer around. Go ahead. Brother Hall, you wanted to say something? Yes, Brother Hall. Yes.
I'm just looking at it. I just think that it's more of not testing the wife, but it's more of testing, Job. It's just his suffering that is really the focus here, and not on any particular family member. So it wasn't anything to do with them. So just taking them from him was what the thing was about, and not necessarily about putting the wife to any suffering or putting any of the children through suffering. All of them just died.
Yeah.
Just collapsed on his children and they died in an instant.
Yes.
So
yeah.
it was just really targeted at Job and not the family member to suffer.
Yep, his wife, because all the other family members died. So the only other family member that remained was his wife. Now, I know and I get that she's not, like you're suggesting, a major character, right? But she was still his wife. You know, is it that she wasn't that important, that the Satan wouldn't touch her, right? You know.
Well, God never said consider Job's wife, you know.
No. It's not. Remember, no. It's not a testing of the wife, you know. It was a test of Job. But I'm saying because all that was taken from Job was to test him. So I'm saying, why didn't they take the wife to test him? You know, so that's why CC said maybe that would have tipped him over. You know, so God says you cannot take his life. But maybe if the wife had died, that would have been everything. Right? So I've heard people say that Job lost everything, but he didn't. His wife was still there. You've never thought about it before, eh? Yeah. We say like Job, you know, we shall recover it all. But he had his wife. We're speculating here, right? But I want to say, CC, what you said, it holds some water. That maybe that would have been the tipping point for him. So I have nobody left at all in this world. Might as well I just give up.
Well, maybe it could be two becoming one type of thing as well. In that Job really and truly just represents the union. Because they would have been thinking alike because they're husband and wife. So whatever one feel, the other feel type of thing. So it would have been hard on both of them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, she never get a nice sores on him something, you know. Yeah, put it on mute because of the fun. Right. All right. Anybody else, somebody else wanted to say something? Yes, Sister Jackson. Put it up, yeah. Uh-huh.
Showing much empathy to her husband. Because in an instance, she was able to say, curse God and die.
Yeah, but that was after the fact
But
of
that
the
was
suffering.
after.
Right? I'm saying she was there in the picture before, right? Much emphasis wasn't placed on her. But one thing we do know for a fact is that nothing happened to her. So that's, you know, I'm just piquing your interest a little bit, just pushing you to think. We really don't know because the Bible is silent on a number of factors or issues surrounding Job's story. But we know for a fact that the wife, nothing happened to her. Right? Nothing happened to her. Yes, Brother Kevin.
Rev, something does come back to me. This is my opinion, and I believe that God allows Satan not to touch your wife because he said when Job received back everything, Job get back more children, and I believe it's the same wife. So God makes sure not make Satan touch your wife.
Maybe if the wife had been taken, probably you could have get two wives after that, you know. Double. Right? Well, but you have a point that, yes, more than likely it would have been through the same wife, but it's not as if God couldn't have provided another wife for him. Right? But so there's still question signs surrounding it. But what we're doing is just looking at some of the suggestions, which are not bad suggestions. Don't feel that, boy, you're adding anything to the scriptures or taking anything away. We're just looking at the question signs that abound and making possible suggestions. So one thing that we do know is that God allowed Satan to test Job, stripping him of his possessions and children. All that God did was to put a limit on Satan's power over Job's physical life. You touch him because after a while Satan said, it is because him still have him health. God said, all right, touch him health. And so Satan put Job in a debilitating position where nobody wanted to be around him or to be near him because he had what appeared to have been leprosy, right? Though not leprosy, but with boils and sores all over. Job was like a pariah. Nobody wanted to interact with him now. So God is punishing Job. There are people who think that because you're going through a period of struggles in your life, that is something you do wrong, that God is punishing you. There are some people that think that, and I've even said it, that when people get sick, it's because of sin. I knew of one pastor that preached that at her church, and then she got sick and was hiding at home because she didn't want anybody to think that she committed sin. But you are the one that preached that false doctrine, that if you get sick, it's because you committed a sin. Then the whole of we would have sick then? All I can be some would have sick gone straight up to my head, right down to my foot. Yeah? But that's not the reason, right? God allows his people to go through periods of suffering. This Christian walk is a walk of suffering as well. For we talk about the cross. You cannot take up the cross and not see the suffering Jesus. You can't. If any man wants to come after me, let him deny self and take up his cross. Once you decide to take up that cross, you know that you're taking on crosses. So the kind of narrative that we would have been preaching, suggesting that once people come to Jesus, everything becomes magical, as it were, is false. And we must not do it. We preach the kingdom of God. We preach the righteousness of God. And that when you seek after him, all that you need will be added, because that's what Jesus said. But it doesn't say anywhere in the scriptures that we will not suffer. On the contrary, it says that we will suffer. Yes, CC. Pass on the mic there.
Growing up as a Christian or
Yes.
as a young Christian, I always think if something bad happened to me, I something me do. So me always say, God, I want me to do. If I say, show up me sin, me know what
Yes.
to do. If something bad happen, maybe it's not sound doctrine as you're saying. But I think that's how I grew up, thinking if something was wrong, something bad happened, I did something wrong, why it happened.
Yeah, and it would have been cultured as with a number of other facets of our church, and Christian lifestyle and living, where we tend to throw ourselves under the bus because it must be something that you did, right? But if anybody is willing to follow Christ, there is a crown and there is glory at the end of the journey, but there is suffering along the path. Paul said that we must suffer for a while. So after you have suffered for a while, yes, deliverance will come, glory will come, but you cannot walk the path that Christ walked and not suffer. We have to. This is a road of suffering. If we never had a problem, how could we know that God could solve them? If we never had valley experiences, how could we know about the delivering power of God? It is when we're in the valley and we call unto the Lord, like Israel did in their cycle of sin. Again, the children of Israel were oppressed and they were afflicted by the Philistines, by the Amalekites. And then the children of Israel cried out to the Lord. And the Lord raised up a deliverer to deliver them out of their captivity. Right? It's a similar thing with us. We are in the valley. We call out to God. God delivers us. Take us up on the mountain. The mountaintop experience is not a permanent one. We must walk the walk of suffering. And so we say, where is God? Job did not question God's whereabouts. What did Job do? In Job 1, verse 21 and 22, he tore his robe, shaved his head, fell to the ground, and worshipped. After losing all that he had lost, instead of murmuring, instead of cursing God, instead of backsliding, Job